constant help. And when God asks us to do something that it requires us to be constantly depending on Him, we all usually struggle. Because we usually say, do I really need to go there? I made my way so I don't have to depend on anybody. Why would I put myself in a situation of dependency or some way of what makes me insecure? So I got a little exercise for you, and I want to ask you this question. So, have you ever been at the Niagara Falls? Raise your hand if you've ever been at the Niagara Falls. All right, great. Almost a majority. Like, where are we going with this? I can sense. How much water goes through the Niagara Falls a minute? This is not. I'm not asking for exact movement. It's more like it's a little amount. It's a big amount. What do you think? It's a lot. And you drink the amount of water that goes through the Niagara Falls in about a second. Can you drink that in a day? No. Okay. So again, where are we going with this? Have you ever seen the Niagara Falls stop? Stop the flow of the water.
Pictures.
So what?
Pictures. They did stop at once.
It did stop. Do you remember when?
Years ago.
Years ago. That's a very good answer. Years ago. Years ago that happened. And so, if you live in the Niagara Falls, and especially close, there is a constant sound of it, right? So, in 1848, the residents of the Niagara Falls woke up with the lack of that sound. I was like, there's something weird happening. There's no more water flowing. And it was really interesting because in the records of that time, the people who lived by, the idea they had is like, oh my goodness, the end of the world is happening. I'm not kidding you. They thought that the Niagara Falls stopped, ergo, the world was collapsing. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's what they thought. It was March 29th of 1848. And the reason for that was that a strong southwest wind pushed the ice in the Lake Erie in motion, and by Rochester area, all the ice collapsed in there and it stopped the flow. I mean, I don't want to be near the residents that had there. It's a lot of water to be pushed through there. I don't know what happened around there, but the thing is that all of a sudden there was no more water. So if you have never, if before 1948 you have asked somebody, is it even possible for the Niagara Falls to stop? Everybody would tell you, you're crazy. There is no way, right? But there was one moment in the history of that we know, somebody took record of, that we have heard about one moment that happened. Now, what is the likelihood of that happening again? You say, almost nothing, almost zero, right? So our life, well, how we make decisions, how much of your decisions is made by your rationale, the probabilities, you know? And so the probability of me doing this will cause this thing. So ergo, if I do this, so if I don't like what most likely going to happen, I will not do it, right? So we live by our decision-making process is a mix of odds. You live by what are the odds of me doing this? And the odds, how we make those odds together is a mix of what I've heard about, my personal experience, and my emotions in that moment. Say like, if it doesn't threaten me too much, I'm most likely gonna do it. But I'm making the decisions. Like the question is, how do you make a decision? Some decisions that you make, you don't like, but you don't like it, and you do it anyways because the punishment is bigger than the pain that you're going through. For example, taxes. I don't like to pay taxes, but I don't want the IRS going after me. There you go, I'll do it. Right? Something more simple. I don't like to eat veggies, but I know they're good for me. So ergo, I should get them into my diet one way or another. We were in a restaurant yesterday, and so in the menu the salad came along, and I said to the waitress, can we switch this for something different? I mean, can I skip the salad? Was my question. And my funny way of trying to not sound so weird, I was like, the way I eat my veggies is through the meat. The cow eats the veggies, and I eat the cow, and I feel better about it. Right? I try to justify things, how go around to not do what I don't want to do. Now, when we come to the Lord, then we all like the fact of being saved by the Lord. And we like the fact that God did all for us. But we struggle when we have to obey the Lord. Because there are some things that God asks us to do that we feel like more comfortable to do it, and some other ways that we feel like, I don't think I don't like that. So the question for you is, how do you decide how to obey and how not to obey? Many of the things has to do with what is normal, right? And what is not normal. So then sometimes we come across passages like this one, and we are like, I don't think I like it. Make sense? So let's go to the passage, and now you're praising yourself. I'm really ready to read something I don't like. So let's go. Deuteronomy chapter 26. And notice this, how it starts. Chapter 26 of Deuteronomy says this: when you have entered the land the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, and have taken possession of it and settled in it, take some of the first fruits of all that you produce in the soil of the land the Lord your God is giving you, and put them in a basket. Then go to the place the Lord your God will choose as a dwelling for his name, and say to the priest in office in that time, I declare today to the Lord your God that I have come to the land the Lord swore to our forefathers to give us. The priest shall take the basket from your hands and set it down in front of the altar of the Lord your God. Then you shall declare before the Lord your God, my father was a wanderer in Aramean, and he went down